Good day everyone. So today we are going to tackle about the learners with difficulty of hearing. The things that we are going to discuss today is about the definition, identification, and the learning characteristic of the learners with difficulty of hearing. But before we start, I would like to introduce to you my group members and their parts of this presentation. My name is Dominga Ana Chaba, the group reporter, Nikki Fermentos as the questionnaire maker, Janelle Patricio and AJ Fasistol as the editor. Ears allows us to hear, but what else? So we put together some fact about your ears that you might not have known. So here's a short trivia. Number one, without your ears, you would lose your balance. Inside your inner ear is a fascinating maze-like structure known as the vestibular system. Here you'll find three canals filled with fluid and small hair cells that detect the rotational movement of your head, be it up and down, side to side, or tilting. Each semicircular canal is located at a different angle so your brain can better judge where your head is moving. They are each responsible for a specific direction of head movement. Information coming from the vestibular system is processed in the brain and then sent to the other organs that needs this information such as eyes and muscles. This allows us to remain balanced and know what positions our body is in. In some situations, like we're on a boat, different sensory organs, such as the eyes, sends contradictory messages to the brain. This is what can then cause us to feel unwell, dizzy, and nauseous. The next one is ears are self-cleaning. Earwax gets a bad rap, but the truth is, it's a completely natural and essential part of our ears. Normal earwax production is a sign that your ears are doing a great job at cleaning themselves. This self-cleaning ability helps keep the ears moisturized and protected. Next one, ears never sleep. Our ears still hear 100% of the sounds around us when we are asleep, even if we're not aware of it. It's our brains that are responsible for processing all the sounds around us and making sense of them. The sleeping brain continues generating neural responses to surrounding events, but the sleeper is merely in standby mode as the brain continues to monitor for relevant signals. The next one is we have two ears for a reason. Having two ears help us figure out which direction sounds are coming from. If you have hearing loss in the ear, or in one ear rather, you can probably notice that it's hard to decipher where a particular sound is located. Therefore, it's important to use two hearing aids instead of one when hearing loss is present in both ears. To help locate warning sounds around you, navigate safely through traffic, and walk safely across the road. With our ears playing such an important role in our lives, it's important to take care of our hearing health. Next one is hearing loss may cause cognitive decline. A new report published by the Lancet Commission shows that hearing loss is a risk factor for dementia. In fact, moderate hearing impairment can increase one's dementia risk by up to 3 times. Even mild levels of hearing loss can increase the long-term risk of cognitive decline and dementia in people who are cognitively intact but slightly hearing impaired. This could be because hearing loss leads to lowered mental stimulation, isolation, and depression, all of which contribute to accelerated cognitive decline. Number 6 is your ears have very important hair that don't grow back. The ear has tiny nerve fibers or hair cells that helps us maintain balance, but they're also there to help us hear. These delicate hair cells are very sensitive and can be easily damaged to the point where they break. Once they break, they don't grow back. Some of the main reasons for this type of hair cell loss includes sound exposure, natural aging, and ear infection. To avoid your risk of hearing loss, it's important to take care of your ears by avoiding loud noises when possible, or by protecting your ears with earplugs or ear defenders when exposed to excessive noise. Last but not the least, sound exposure is the second leading cause of hearing loss. There are many things that can cause hearing loss, but sound exposure is one of the biggest culprits. This type of hearing loss falls under the sensorineural hearing loss category. And though there can be other causes such as aging, ear infection, and certain medication, it's often caused by exposure to high levels of noise. It can be the result of one loud impulse sound, or from continual exposure to loud sounds over time. It can happen to anyone at any age. So now, we're going to discuss the definition of hearing impairment and deafness. So hearing impairment is the inability of an individual to hear sounds adequately. This may be due to improper development, damage or disease to any part of the hearing mechanism. Hearing is a prerequisite from the development of normal speech and language. So as stated here, there are various causes of hearing impairment. For example, after your birth, na found out na mahina ang pandinig mo, it's because improper yung development ng ears mo, or should we say, not fully developed, pwede rin yun. Another thing is because of diseases or damage on your ear. These also affect the inability to hear sounds. So there are three classifications of hearing impairment, namely hearing loss, hard of hearing, and deaf. So, the number one is hearing loss. So, hearing loss is a person that are not able to hear sounds like the normal people can hear. The second one is hard of hearing. This one refers to people that is suffering from hearing loss ranging from mild to severe. And the third one is deaf. We are all familiar with this term since this is commonly used to describe people that don't have the ability to hear sounds, although some can still hear a little, but most deaf was totally no hearing. There are two common causes of hearing loss, namely the congenital cause and the acquired causes. So let's first talk about the congenital causes. When we say congenital, it's talk about rape. So mainly, congenital causes of hearing loss includes hereditary or namamana by genetics. Maybe having a hearing loss is because nasa dugo nyo or natural sa angkan nyo na may hearing loss na nararanasan. Another one is acquired soon after birth. Yung case na okay naman ay sinilang yung bata, healthy naman nung nasa tiyan ng mother, but then after several days na maipanganak, saka lang na find out na mahina ang hearing ability ng bata. That is why in some of lying in and even hospital, after 26 days ng pagpanganak sa bata, they need to undergo with hearing test to see if both ears are functioning well. The next causes is the acquired causes. So these causes is na-acquire na lang natin through our environment such as infectious diseases. If a person suffered from ear infection or any diseases in which the ear is involved, and lumala ng lumala without using any medication or without even consulting the doctor, this can result to hearing loss or deafness because na-damage lang the internal part ng ears natin. Hearing impairment is not only the handicap of not being able to hear. It encompasses emotional problems, problems in socialization, in learning abilities, and etc. It is said by Helen Keller. So, according to Helen Keller, hearing impairment is not just about of not being able to hear. This is also about the emotional, social, and intellectual problems that a learner has struggling with. So imagine, a hearing impaired person is not just struggling about the difficulties of hearing, but they are also dealing with their emotion. They can totally express all emotion they feel because it is even hard for people like us that has normal hearing to understand what they are going through. Another one is socialization. They may seem to doubt themselves when they are in public places or when they are around together with people with normal hearing. Some can socialize because they feel that they don't belong to a certain group of people with normal hearing. Some may think that they should only socialize with the same people that are struggling with hard of hearing just like them, which is wrong. They are also struggling in their learning abilities such as vocabulary deficit or having a hard time to understand a word's meaning. Poor spelling skills and words formation is also a struggle for them because they can only see the word but they can totally understand and how to construct it. Lastly, they have difficulties with concentration because without hearing, we can lose our balance. They can concentrate because they are not able to hear sounds. So let's talk about the learning characteristics. Students who are deaf or hard of hearing rely upon visual input rather than auditory input when communicating. So since nahihirapan silang makarinig, mas applicable sa kanila ang mga visual inputs like cartoons depicting some causes and effects or visual aids, for example. So, using visual aspect of communication such as body language, gestures, and facial expressions often feels awkward to those of us who are accustomed to auditory input. But it is essential for effective communication with students who have hearing impairment. So, for us na normal ang pandinig, parang awkward sa atin gumamit ng mga gesture, sign language, body language, facial expression. Kasi nasasanay tayo na kapag nasa paaralan, we are accustomed to auditory. So, nasasanay tayo na nakikinig lang tayo sa nagtuturo sa atin. But these things like body language, facial expression, and gesture is very essential to those who have hearing impairments. Some students are adept at speech reading while others have very limited ability to read lips. So, may mga learners with difficulty hearing na madaling nakakaintindi ng words by looking at their lips on how they pronounce the words. Pero, meron ding iba na nahihirapan din magets or nahihirapan ding intindihin yung words. So, they don't have the best ability to read lips. So for some, sign language or finger spelling are preferred means of communication. Other communication includes gesture and writing. So, hindi lang naman pala sign language and finger spelling yung means of communication of the learners with difficulty of hearing. So, it also includes gestures and writing. So, kalain mo yun, pwede ka palang makaintindi through writing. Depende sa kung ano ang natututunan nila. Most of the students who are deaf or hard of hearing have experience communicating with the hearing population, and it is important to allow them to guide you on the best way to communicate. So, alam nyo yon, may mga, or mostly of people with hard of hearing is nakakapag-communicate din naman sila sa mga taong nakakarinig, normal na nakakarinig. So, by using some gestures na na-acquire nila ng hindi pa sila totally marunong. Pero, it is best that they should learn that the proper way of communicating or the proper way of gestures, body language, sign language, finger spellings, para at least maayos din natin naiintindihan kung ano ang gusto sabihin nila. As well sa atin, kailangan din naman natin matuto sa mga ganong bagay so that alam natin kung paano sila maintindihan. So, I have a short story. I have a nephew na which is deaf since after his birth, na-confirm ng deaf. Nung baby pa siya, gumagamit siya ng mga body language, simple body language na nagigets namin. Like, if he asked us, or if he asked me kung kumain na ba ako, he acts like this. Then, alam ko yung sasabihin ko yes or no. Ganon. But, in-advise din naman siya na gumamit ng hearing aids, but he refused to use it kasi daw, nung time na sinusuot niya yung hearing aids niya, ang sabi niya, malakas daw yung naririnig niyang sasakyan, masakit daw sa ulo yung naririnig niyang boses. Pero, deaf siya, deaf. Siguro, sobrang lakas lang ng impact ng hearing aid equipment niya. Kahit i-adjust mo siya, ayaw niyang gumamit. But, despite of refusing to use hearing aid equipments, he still managed to go to school. Maayos siyang nakakapag-aral sa inclusive school, like Iriga Central School. And for now, he is in grade 7 at San Agustin Standalone in Iriga also. So, honor student din siya. Nakikipagsabayan din sa mga students with normal hearing or students na nakakarinig ng maayos. So, one more is maybe a skilled lip reader. So only 30 to 40% of spoken English is distinguishable on the mouth and lips under the best of condition. So sabi ko nga is, may mga deaf or hard of hearing na nakakaintindi or madaling makagets or have the ability to read lips, or by the way the lips move, alam nila kung ano yung word na yon. But not all, hindi lahat, kasi may iba din na nahihirapang makagets sa mga ganong way. May use hearing aids or amplification system to enhance oral communication. So, sabi ko nga is, ang hearing aids is malaking tulong sa mga learners with difficulty of hearing, kasi for us na normal yung hearing natin, kapag gumamit tayo ng hearing aid, para siyang parang gumuguhit yung tunog, masakit talaga sa eardrum. But for them na wala nang pandinig or totally deaf or even hard of hearing, kapag gumamit sila ng hearing aid or amplification system, nakakarinig sila kahit ano. Nakakarinig sila ng mga tunog ng sasakyan, tunog ng mga nag-uusap na tao, or tunog ng mga bagay-bagay. It's a best device that could help a deaf or hard of hearing learners. So, some guidelines includes gaining attention. Be sure to have a deaf student attention before speaking. A light touch on the shoulder, a wave, or another visual signal will help. So, syempre, kapag magsasalita ka, you need to gain the attention of the learner with hard of hearing or a deaf, para at least magkaintindihan kayo or makuha niya yung information na gusto mong ipaabot. Preferential seating. Offer the students preferential seating near the front of the classroom so he or she can get as much from visual and auditory clues as possible, and can clearly see a sign language interpreter if one is used. So, syempre, kapag sa isang room is may learners with difficulty hearing, as much as possible, dapat nasa unahan siya ng klase so that he or she can fully understand the speaker or the sign language that is being used if there's an interpreter na kasama sa room, para mas effective yung learning ng isang estudyante na nagsistruggle ng hard of hearing. So, by effective communication to learners with difficulty of hearing, avoid talking with your back to the class, sitting with your back to a window, chewing gum, or otherwise blocking facial or speech reading cues. Speak and enunciate clearly and formally. Provide written information as much as possible. So, by this, syempre, kapag kung isa kang speaker, kung makikipag-usap ka sa learners with hard of hearing, dapat ay nakaharap ka sa kanila. Huwag mo silang tatalikuran or huwag kang magsasalita ng may chewing gum sa bibig mo or anything na nakaka-block sa understanding ng learners sa sinasabi mo. So, if you are a speaker, you should focus on delivering your speech to your learners with hard of hearing para mas effective yung learnings ng estudyante. Last but not the least, role of sign language interpreter and captionist. Interpreter and captionist are in the classroom to facilitate communication between the instructor, the deaf or hard of hearing student, and other student in the class. They will not participate in the class, but will voice questions and comments from the deaf students. So, from the words itself, interpreter, sila yung nag-i-interpret ng mga gustong sabihin ng speaker in a way na gumagamit sila ng sign language para iparating yung speech or yung mensahe sa mga learners with difficulty of hearing. And vice versa din ito. Kung may gusto mang sabihin yung isang learner with difficulty of hearing, sinasabi ng interpreter ito sa speaker para magkaintindihan ang speaker at ang learner. And that would be all. Thank you very much.